And I'm actually a state representative, so I'm not in the federal Congress. I'm in the Texas House of Representatives as opposed to the U.S. House of Representatives, where all the action right now that you're reading about the news is going on. In the Texas legislature, we meet just every 2 years for 5 months, and then we're off for a year and 7 months. And we all have full-time jobs, so being in the legislature is a part-time job. We get paid $600 a month. That's what our pay is. A lot of people think that we get paid a lot more. We get $600. So we all have full-time jobs, and we go back, because we have a citizen legislature, we go back and live under the very laws that we pass. Does that make sense? But what I'm here to talk about today is actually your constitutional rights. So your rights that derive from the federal Constitution. And also to talk about your obligations as a U.S. citizen. And my obligations as a U.S. citizen. So I think, so just first of all, we need some definitions. What's a constitutional right? This is going to be very interactive. What is a constitutional right?
Something that the Constitution gives us as U.S. citizens.
So he's saying the Constitution gives it to us as U.S. citizens. That's a good answer. That's a pretty good answer. Any other comments about a constitutional right? These are rights that are derived from the people themselves and are primarily protected by amendments to the U.S. Constitution. So you're right. They're not rights given to us by government. You see the difference? They're rights derived from we, the people. The people that elect the representatives like me to go represent you in the Texas House of Representatives. So the rights are derived from you, the people. They don't come from government. What if they came from government? What could happen to those rights? They could be changed. They could be taken away. So they don't come from government. They come from the people. And they come from natural law and the author of natural law. Who's the author of natural law? God. The Creator is the author of natural law. So that's why they can't be taken away from us. And primarily our constitutional rights come from the Bill of Rights. What is the Bill of Rights?
First 10 amendments.
Oh, first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Great. How many amendments total are there to the Constitution?
I have no idea.
No idea. How about a guess?
26.
26? Close.
28.
28. One off.
21.
27.
Someone said that.
So, but primarily our constitutional rights come from what? We just said it a moment ago. The people, right? But the first 10 amendments to the Constitution called the what?
The Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights. Who wrote the Bill of Rights?
Oh.
Just a little factoid.
Jefferson guy.
Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Bill of Rights. What's kind of interesting is he first had objected to having a Bill of Rights in the Constitution, and then when he became a House member, he saw the need for a Bill of Rights and actually wrote the Bill of Rights. Now, what's the definition of an obligation? So we know what constitutional rights are. What are obligations? What are the obligations we have, or what's the definition of an obligation? Anybody? Obligation?
Things that we're supposed to do.
That's good. He said things we're supposed to do for the U.S. So it's a commitment that we have to a particular course of action. So that's our obligation, our commitment, right? So we have constitutional rights over here that we're entitled to, and then over here we have what? Obligations that we have. What we're going to do is talk about, let's talk about the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights first. First of all, have any of y'all ever really seen the U.S. Constitution? Have you ever seen it with your own eyes? The real one?
I've seen it on video.
So has anybody, let me see a show of hands, who has seen the actual United States Constitution, which is where it's housed in the National Archives building in Washington, D.C.? Who has seen it?
My brother. I got him in our national treasure.
You really should go see it. There was a movie made about it. What's the name of the movie?
National Treasure.
National Treasure. So that really is how it looks, National Treasure. The way I think they actually filmed it there in the National Archives. Who actually wrote the actual words and penned the words in the Constitution? Not the ideas, but who actually wrote the words on the paper? Does anybody know who actually wrote the words? Wrote them? John Hancock? No, he did sign it. And he signed the most legibly. Right? Who actually wrote the words on the
Thomas Jefferson?
No, but his ideas were incorporated. Huh? I'll give you the answer to that. I didn't know it. Either Governor Morris of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
He was actually tasked with writing the physical words on the piece of paper. And where's the piece of paper housed at? In Washington, D.C., in the building called the National Archives. There's lots of other documents that are there. It's a really great place to go. Here's another question, just a little factoid before we jump into the Bill of Rights. Who were the most influential men, either directly or indirectly, in writing the Constitution? We already named one of them just a moment ago. Thomas Jefferson. Who else? Foster?
Benjamin Franklin?
Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin helped write the Constitution. Who else? John Hancock, we know he was part of the Constitution.
John Morris.
John Morris. I don't know about John Morris, I would have to check that. He might have been one of the signers, but who were about the 3 or 4 or 5 most influential men whose ideas created the actual Constitution that we know?
George Washington.
George Washington, he was definitely part of it. Okay, I'm going to give you, it's Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Thomas Paine, and James Madison.
James Madison, I was about to say.
That's the same James Madison. So these men, either directly or indirectly, form most of the concepts that you see inside the U.S. Constitution. These were very intellectual men. They've been all over the world. And they had studied the greatest thinkers of government, from Plato to Aristotle, you name it. They had studied virtually every form of government one could have. And these bright men at this Constitutional Convention came up with this form of government that we have called a democracy. And it's the best form of government I think that man has ever created and possibly will ever create. When was the Constitution written? What year? 1776. That's the year we declared our independence. Very good. That's the year we declared our independence from what country?
Britain.
Great Britain, exactly. So when was the Constitution actually written? What year?
1786.
Ooh, that's close. 1 year off. 1787. That is very, very good. It was passed in 1788, and it was made up of 7 articles. 7 articles. And some of the articles were, what would the legislative branch look like? What would the judicial branch look like? And what would the executive branch look like, right? What does the legislative branch look like? It has a what?
2 houses.
2 houses.
Bicameral.
Bicameral. Awesome. I wish I had some giveaways. I'd be throwing some candy out. Good. So the House and the Senate, how many senators do we have?
34. 2. No, 1.
2 from each state, so we have a total of 100.